So let's take a closer look at our organizational groupings that we use for classification. So basically, we start out in classification and we put things into very, very broad groups. And one of the most broad groups, well, the broadest that we will talk about in this course, is the kingdom level of classification. So we take and we group things into different kingdoms based on their physical characteristics. And so all things on Earth are actually placed into one of 6 kingdoms. You now have Animalia, those are animals, Plantae, which are plants, fungi, fungus, Protista, and then Monera, which is now has recently been divided into 2 kingdoms. So we have 6 kingdoms, okay, and you will be placed into one of these 6 kingdoms. So, for example, all animals are placed into kingdom Animalia. So that means like all the way from the largest blue whale to sponges to the tiger on land, okay, to lions. Okay, they're all in kingdom Animalia. And same with plants, like all the different kinds of plants are in the plant kingdom. So it's very, very broad. So we start off very, very broad, very general, and then we move to more and more specific categories. So we get down to the genus and then to the species, which refers to only one single type of animal. So kingdom, very broad. The next level of classification is the phylum. Okay, most animal phyla do not have bones. They're mostly invertebrates. And so we'll talk more about that, but most of the animal phyla don't have bones. And actually, some phyla are exclusive to the ocean. So in this course, we get to talk about a lot of animals that you wouldn't get to talk about in other courses because they're found only in the ocean. Class, order, and family come next, and those get more and more specific. And then you have the genus, okay, which are a bunch of animals that are very closely related. And then you have the species. And the species, what does it mean to be a species? Well, traditionally, we have actually said our definition of a species is when 2 of the members can reproduce and have viable offspring, meaning the babies can have babies. So you are considered to be a species if you can reproduce with another one of your kind and your babies can have babies. So that would be what's considered to be a species. Here is just kind of like a color coordinated thing, hopefully to help you see this a little bit better. And then here's like the classification down here for the 4 animals that we actually looked at before: the blue whale, the fin whale, the humpback whale, and then also humans. So it's color coordinated with the level of classification up at the top. And then there's an acronym for you to help you remember these, because you will have to know these in order for your test and for your quiz and stuff. So you have King Philip came over for ginger snaps, okay, which are kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Another one that some of my students like to use is kids playing chess on freeways get smashed. So if that helps you to remember it better, use that one by all means. Okay, so the scientific name is made up of the genus and the species. And there's a very specific way to write the scientific name. And you will need to know this, and you will be tested on this. So when you write a scientific name, you always write the genus and the species, and it is either underlined or in italics. Typically, if you're handwriting it, it's underlined, and if you're typing it out, then it is in italics. And also, when you write out your scientific name, the genus also always comes first, and it is always capitalized. And the species always comes second, and it is always lowercase. So you can see a couple correct examples right here. So you have Spicula solidissima, this is the Atlantic surf clam. And so you can see the first letter, or the first name is the genus, okay, and the first letter is capitalized. Second name is the species, and lowercase, and it's underlined. Or you can do this one, okay. This is also correct, but it's in italics. And then you can see underneath here all of the different ways that are incorrect, the wrong way to write a scientific name. So hopefully you remember how to do it correctly and do it correctly for your test and quiz. Just a little interesting fact, because I get asked this question a lot. The mule is actually not considered to be a species by our definition of species because they can't reproduce. So a mule is you get a mule by breeding a male donkey and a female horse, and that equals a mule. So the reason why the mule can't actually reproduce is because of its genetics. So if you look at the male donkey, a male donkey has 62 chromosomes. Okay, donkeys have 62 chromosomes, and a horse has 64 chromosomes. That means that a mule will have 63 chromosomes, which is an odd number. If you remember back to your freshman biology class, and you remember the process of meiosis where you make sex cells, in the process of meiosis, the chromosomes split. They join up with their pairs and then they split. Because the mule has an odd number of chromosomes, one of those chromosomes doesn't have a pair, doesn't get lined up, and so some of the sex cells that get produced are missing a chromosome. Therefore, when they try and have babies, they don't produce viable sperm or viable eggs, and so you don't get babies from mules because they can't produce viable sperm and eggs because they have an odd number of chromosomes.